heart. Like, it really breaks my heart knowing what I know now to think about how the adults now may have felt as kids back in the day. Have you developed a trauma response as a result of constant judgment? Let's bond and let's relate. Hello, ladies. Welcome back and thank you for tuning into Finally Freakin Friday. It's finally Freakin Friday, y'all. I'm so thankful that we have a safe space where we can vent, share, relate, and most of all, heal. For those of you who are listening for the first time, hi, my name is Diamond, your host, and this is a raw, transparent, safe space created for special needs moms, created by a special needs mom. We don't sugarcoat over here. We will talk about the good times along with the rough, because too often we find ourselves masking our true emotions just like our kids. What is finally Freakin Friday? It's a mood, girl. It's a I'm over this week mood. It's a I still have to deal with those kids over the weekend, but I can stay up late with some wine and let go of every bag carried during the week mood. It's a I'm ripping off this wig. I'm snatching off this bra mood. It's an AirPods in my ear while I watch but don't hear my child jumping off the walls mood. Yeah, girl, it's finally Freakin Friday. So tune in, spend some time with me each and every Friday while we talk about topics experienced all too often with moms who mom differently, that others can't relate unless they actually experience parenting with a child with special needs. No shade, no tea. So this week, I want to touch on judgment and trauma. I'm going to really break it down and share some experiences with this topic. I know that we all can relate to judgment as special needs moms, but I don't know if we all experience trauma from facing so much of that judgment. Let me really explain what I mean before I go any further. So up until recently, the topic of special needs was like taboo. We would know something was different or off with a person, but it was never discussed. Like, the family of the person would either ignore the issue, or if it was too apparent to ignore, they would hide the person from the outside world as much as possible, and or just not discuss or educate others on the person's condition. I'm an ASD mom, so I can speak on autism specifically. Autism was very much taboo. Back in the day, especially in the Black community, autism was not a thing. It was not. There are so many undiagnosed adults with autism that could have possibly had a better quality of life if they got therapy at a younger age. But back in the day, again, autism was not a thing. You were either slow or delayed, and that's a nice way of putting it because there were plenty of other words that could have been thrown out. If the autism displayed itself severely enough, that's one thing, because at that point it was obvious, right? But if not, then the child was just slow, stupid, or just had behavioral problems. It breaks my heart. Like, it really breaks my heart knowing what I know now to think about how the adults now may have felt as kids back in the day. The masking they had to do, the pain of knowing that they thought differently but didn't know why. The negative labeling that was put on them. We still have kids going through that today, but thank God the numbers aren't as high, but the numbers are still there nonetheless. Side note, y'all know I like to ramble. Doesn't it hurt your heart when you see a child in public clearly having a meltdown or having a hard time communicating, which leads to a meltdown? And you, as a special needs parent, you can call it within seconds. Like, you already know what it is right away because we now have an eye to identify certain behaviors. So you see this child struggling with emotions and their parent is just unaware or intentionally blind. Ooh, intentionally blind. I like that. Intentionally blind. Yes, that's a word. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. All right, ADHD, don't start up. Let's get back on track. Okay, so this child's parent does not respond appropriately to this child's behavior. Instead of trying to calm and de-escalate, they yell, they scream, they hit, they punish this child for acting out when this child is just trying to communicate and regulate their emotions. Oh my God. That tears my heart to pieces, man. Like, it really tears my heart to pieces. It hurts me so bad. And what's worse is you can't tell people how to raise their child. Nowadays, let you go up to somebody and try to tell them how to raise their child, how to get a handle on their child's behavior. Girl, bye. You get shot. At least in New York. Now, if I see a parent struggling and I see them trying, I may try to offer some help or even some reassurance to the parent. But if that's not the case, I don't get involved because the world is not the same and I still have a family to make it back home to. Okay? But back to our flashback to the past. So when I was young, I remember my elders talking about kids acting out in the store. You know, I remember seeing the kids yelling and falling out on the floor, and all the other mamas would do the same thing. Not my child. That child needs an ass whooping. Huh? She doesn't know how to handle her kids. My God. And as I got older, I was conditioned into the same mentality. Wow. Although I would not verbally announce my judgment, the fact that I had the same thoughts of the other moms whispering about this woman still disgusted me. And the problem was that a disorder being the root of certain behavior was not accepted. So if the disorder wasn't accepted as being the root, then how could there have been any education on a particular behavior? There was none. So the root of the problem was taboo. Although doctors would try to somewhat introduce the possibility eventually. I would say like maybe around my mom's generation that started. However, parents did not want that label on their child, so they ignored doctors and just continued to negatively label their child themselves as being a slow developer, a slow learner, and misbehaved. Intentionally blind. I knew I was going to bring that back up. Intentionally blind. Well, all of that leads me to this week's topic. Because of that old school mentality, too many of us were conditioned into the same thinking, which resulted in a large number of whispering, judgmental women on the line at the grocery store. All right? The only difference is now we're the women who's struggling between calming our child from a meltdown and loading our groceries on a belt for the cashier. Well, okay, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Excuse me, because we're modern now. Okay, honey, we are modern. We don't do that anymore. Let me say, we are juggling between calming a meltdown and scanning our groceries because we scan now, honey. We are so damn futuristic. And y'all sticky finger ones love that self-scan discount. Y'all little heathens. Shit, times is hard though. I'm not judging. I'm not following suit, but I'm not judging either. But yeah, so I know we are all too familiar with judgment, right? So my question is, have you developed a trauma response as a result of constant judgment? That was my question for the week. And I got quite a bit of answers, but I'm going to randomly narrow them down. Randomly, so don't come for me. Each and every one of you had great and valid answers, but very random. I'm going to narrow them down. But anywho, I noticed recently that I developed a trauma response. It displayed itself pretty early on from the time when my son was diagnosed, but I grew into wisdom and was finally able to identify it, and that happened recently. So I become aggressive and defensive when I feel judged. Keyword feel. When I feel judged. And what I mean by that is there are times when I'm not being judged. I can have a conversation with a person about my child or about autism, period, and there can be no malicious or judgmental spirit from this person. But I allow myself to internalize a comment which leads me to feel judged. And then the result is my trauma response, making its entry. Upon reflection, I'm woman enough to apologize and I address my fault. But it's hard because once I internalize and I get in my head that I'm being judged, my feelings become hurt. And it's like an alarm goes off in my head, like defend mode, defend. And I'm defensive. See, judgment weighs on me heavy because not only do I experience it all the time, like we do, but I also have personal emotions that can attach itself to the judgment and cause mental and emotional distress. So what that whispering group doesn't know is while they're over there judging a situation that they know absolutely nothing about, I can be juggling my child, listening to them, and also trying not to succumb to the voices in my head repeating itself, repeating, this is your fault. You could have done more for your child. You're a failure. It's not about you. You don't deserve to feel emotional. You're lazy and you're a horrible mother. That shit is real, man. That shit is real. And after dealing with all that mental noise time and time again, I start to become aggressive and defensive. Now, I don't feel bad all the time for my reaction when I am being judged because, bitch, mind your business. Okay, keep your stares and your comments to yourself if it's rude. But the times that are innocent is my area of opportunity. I feel like anytime I feel like my mothering is being questioned, girl, listen. At one point, it was so bad, somebody could say, like, oh, I wonder if Cameron would eat this. It tastes so good. You should try him with it. And in my head, I would feel attacked. It's like, what? You think I don't try different foods with my child? You think I just force him to eat chicken nuggets all the time? Man, listen. It was bad. So Suzanne, shout out to Suzanne. Hey, girl. She answered the question on my website. Suzanne said, I now have bad anxiety. This is my trauma response. All the judgment and looks gave me this feeling of always being watched. I'm so particular about everything when I'm in public with my kids, because I always feel like I'm doing something wrong or somebody will notice. It's horrible. Girl, I feel that. And anxiety is something else we deal with and don't talk about. But Suzanne, I hope that with you being able to identify it, you try to work on it so you don't walk around on eggshells whenever you're out with your kids. Because you don't deserve that, my love. It's a work in progress, though, I know, but you don't deserve that. Oh my God, speaking of anxiety, a couple of months ago, I was in a grocery store with my son. I was 9 months pregnant. I was slow, and I was big as a whale. You hear me? I was big. So I had picked up my son from school, and he was stimming quite a bit, but I had to run to the store and pick up a couple of things for dinner. So we get to the cashier, and I'm trying to keep my son from touching and pulling everything because, sometimes they have these hands that just got to go everywhere. So I'm struggling with that and trying to give the cashier my things. I wasn't too high tech at this store. Well, the store wasn't high tech. They weren't modern. We still had to go up to the cashier. So I was moving really slow and I wasn't able to manage both like I can do without my baby bump, or more like my baby hump, because I was really big. So anyway, a line started to form behind me and the cashier went so fast, I wasn't able to focus on my transaction, but my total was not adding up for me. All right. It was looking a little funny and I don't like anything funny with my money, honey. So now I'm here trying to find the error, but my son starts to get irritable. The people on the line look like they're starting to grow impatient, and the cashier, girl, she was no help. So I gave into the pressure and I just paid and left. And when I got to the car, I reviewed the receipt and I caught the error, but I was so physically drained at that point that I didn't want to go back in. So I ate that. And I was so mad, girl. I was so mad. I was so mad at myself that I cried because I came so far. So I was mad that I allowed myself to give into the pressure like that, which also resulted in more money coming out my pocket on top of that. Anxiety is an ass. Dang. I don't think we're gonna have enough time to go through all the responses I picked out. Because I don't want to run our bonding time too long. I know we have a lot of things to do. Okay, one more. So this lady, she wanted to remain anonymous. She said, I love my kids to the moon and back, but I try to avoid going out with them often. It's not that I'm embarrassed of my kids, it's that the judgment makes me self-blame and destroy my mood for days. Sometimes even depression. So I think my trauma response is isolating my kids. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Even though you wanted to remain anonymous, I'm sure it still took a lot of courage to admit that, and I applaud you because honesty opens the door to healing. It's so sad. It's so sad that the lack of knowledge in society creates behaviors that can be so damaging to one another. Mama, you stay strong and you take steps necessary to begin recovering from that, because neither you nor your kids deserve isolation and unhappiness. Don't give others that satisfaction, girl. Okay, I have a few responses left, but I don't want to take up your time. So let me know if you would like to hear the rest. Maybe I'll do like a mini episode in between Fridays. Or maybe a blog if you guys want to read. Or maybe just some shorts on social media. Let me know. Let me know if you guys want to hear some more responses. I think I might go to social media route. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so mamas who mama differently, let me wrap this up. Remember, frustrations do not make you a bad mom, but suppressing and damaging your mental health will hinder you from providing the best version of yourself and your kids, girl. Alright? So tune in to me each and every Friday so we can share our special moments together. Let's bond and let's relate. If you have not, as of yet, be sure to sign up for our newsletter. I don't know why you're not signed up, but it's okay. It's never too late. Go ahead and sign up to our newsletter. Head over to motheringdifferently.com and sign up. And while you're there, support your girl as well. All right, I have some cute thangy things for some great prices, so check them out and support your girl. Also, follow me on the TikTok and IG at special_boy mom. All right, and I will talk to you guys next Friday. And until then, stay strong, and you're doing a good job, mamas. Later.